If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. If someone is going down the wrong road, he doesn't need motivation to speed him up. What he needs is education to turn him around. Your financial situation is not permanent. Your level of success is not fixed. The only thing keeping you where you are is your thinking. The rich don't have extra hours in the day. They don't have a secret shortcut. They simply think differently, and that difference changes everything. Let me ask you a question. Why are you here? Something brought you to this moment, a desire, a frustration, a dream. And I'll tell you this, nothing changes until you do. If you think the same way, act the same way, and make the same choices, you will get the same results. Most people spend their lives chasing wealth, but never realizing that money doesn't make you rich. The person you become does. If you take a poor thinker and give him a fortune, he will shrink it. But take a rich thinker and strip him of everything, and he will rebuild it. Why? Because wealth is not a bank account, it is a state of mind. And the greatest tragedy is not being broke, it is staying broke in your thinking. Your beliefs about money determine how much of it you'll ever have. And the problem isn't just in what you don't know about wealth, it's in what you think you already know. See, most people never question their financial philosophy. They hear phrases growing up like money is the root of all evil or rich people are greedy, and they accept them as truth. But here's what's fascinating. Those same people spend their whole lives chasing something they secretly resent. They want wealth, but they believe it's wrong to have too much of it. Now, what kind of results do you think that mindset produces? Imagine someone planting seeds in a field but believing deep down that a big harvest is selfish. How much effort do you think they'll put into cultivating their crops? Not much. And if they do grow something, they'll probably find a way to waste it, give it away, or sabotage themselves. Why? Because the mind will always align with what it believes. If you think wealth is dangerous, your subconscious will find ways to push it away. But here's the truth. Money isn't good or bad. Money is neutral. It takes on the character of the one who holds it. If a kind, generous person becomes wealthy, what do? They build schools, they fund charities, they create jobs. If a corrupt person gains money, they use it for selfish or destructive purposes. Money is simply a tool. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner you can welcome it into your life without guilt or hesitation. Now, if your beliefs about money have been shaped by fear, then your emotions around money will be just as damaging. Ever notice how most people make financial decisions based on emotions rather than logic? When the stock market drops, fear takes over and they sell at a loss. When everyone else is buying into a trend, greed kicks in and they jump in too late. The wealthy don't let emotions dictate their choices. They operate with discipline. They understand that wealth building is about patience, about playing the long game, about making decisions based on principles, not panic. I once knew a man who came into a large sum of money, more money than he had ever seen in his life. And do you know what he did? He spent it all within a year. Not because he didn't want to keep it, but because he had never developed the mindset to manage it. Wealth must be handled with intelligence, not impulse. Because if you don't control your emotions will control your wealth. If you can't see yourself wealthy, you will never be wealthy. It's as simple as that. The mind operates like a blueprint, and if the blueprint isn't designed for success, no amount of hard work will build the life you want. The problem is, most people have never trained themselves to see beyond their current circumstances. They look at their bank account and let that number dictate what's possible for them. They see their background, their education, their family history, and they accept it as their financial destiny. But here's the truth. Your circumstances don't shape your future. Your vision does. I remember a young man who came to me once struggling financially. He said, "I just don't see myself as a wealthy person." And I told him, that's your first problem. You'll never have something you can't first picture in your mind. See, before a building is ever constructed, the architect has a vision for it. He sees the grand structure before a single brick is laid. But But most people live their financial lives as if they're walking onto a construction site with no blueprint, expecting a mansion to magically appear. That's not how it works. If you want wealth, you must see it first. Now, once you have a vision, the next step is simple. Find those who have already built what you want and study them. Wealthy people don't get rich by accident. They follow principles, they develop habits, and they think in a way that creates success. The fastest way to learn how to think rich is to study those who have done it. The question is, who are you learning from? If you want to get in shape, you don't take advice from someone who's never stepped foot in a gym. If you want to master wealth, you don't listen to those who have never built it. You study the greats. Read their books. Listen to their wisdom. Pay attention to their daily disciplines, because success leaves clues. It's not one big event that makes a person rich. It's the small daily choices compounded over time. I once heard about a man who worked the same job for 40 years, never made an extraordinary salary, but retired a multimillionaire. How? He understood discipline. He made small, consistent decisions, saved a portion of his income, invested it wisely, and let time do the rest. And while others were chasing quick money, wasting their paychecks, and making emotional decisions, he stayed on course. That's the secret. Wealth is a result of discipline. The discipline to set a vision, the discipline to learn from the right people, and the discipline to take consistent action. Because in the end, discipline is what separates those who dream of success from those who achieve it. Wealth is a skill, and like any skill, it must be learned, practiced, and mastered. The mistake most people make is assuming that financial success is about luck, inheritance, or being in the right place at the right time. But if that were true, how do we explain those who start with nothing and build fortunes, or those who inherit millions and lose it all within a few years? The difference is in education. Not the kind you get in school, but the kind you pursue for yourself. Most people spend years in formal education learning history, science, and literature, but they never take a single hour to study money, and then they wonder why they struggle financially. If you want to be wealthy, you must become a student of wealth. Learn how money works, understand investing, saving, budgeting, and multiplying income. If financial literacy isn't part of your daily learning, you will always be at the mercy of those who understand it better than you. I once met a man who made a fortune early in his career, but lost it all in a few years. Not because he wasn't smart, not because he wasn't hardworking, but because he didn't have the financial education to keep it. And that's a pattern you'll see over and over again. Money flows to those who know how to manage it and disappears from those who don't. Now here's the next lesson. Along the way, you're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. And if you don't understand failure, you'll give up before success ever arrives. See, most people treat failure as the opposite of success, but it's not. Failure is part of success. It's a necessary ingredient. The challenge is that most people take failure personally. They see it as proof that they're not capable, that they're not meant for wealth. But the truth is, failure is just feedback. It's the world giving you data, showing you what needs to be adjusted. I remember a time early in my career when I made a bad financial decision. It cost me dearly. And for a moment, I let frustration creep in. But then I stopped myself and thought, what's the lesson here? What can I learn from this so I never make the same mistake again? That shift in thinking changed everything, because if you see failure as a teacher rather than a punishment, you'll never truly lose. The people who succeed in life aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to let failure stop them. Because in the end, wealth is not just about how much you make. It's about how much you learn, how much you grow, and how willing you are to keep going when things don't go as planned. Most people hesitate when it comes to investing in themselves. They'll spend thousands on entertainment, gadgets, vacations, things that bring temporary pleasure. But when it comes to buying a book on wealth, attending a seminar, or hiring a mentor, suddenly it feels like an expense. But here's what's interesting. The wealthy think the opposite. They see self-education as an asset because they understand one powerful truth: the better you become, the better your results. I remember early in my career, I was struggling. I was working hard, but getting nowhere fast. Then I met a mentor who told me, "You're working on the wrong thing. You're working on your job, but you're not working on yourself." That was a turning point for me. From that moment on, I made a decision. I would outlearn and outgrow my old self. I started reading books, attending seminars, listening to successful people, and little by little, my income started to change. Not because my job changed, but because I changed. Now, once you start growing, you'll realize something. Relying on a single paycheck is one of the riskiest things you can do. Most people are trained to think in terms of one income source. They have a job, they get a salary, and that's it. But here's the problem. If that paycheck stops, everything stops. The wealthy think differently. They build multiple streams of income. They don't just rely on one source. They create options. Take a look at any successful person and you'll notice a pattern. They don't just earn from one place. They have investments, businesses, real estate, royalties, dividends. Why? Because they understand that security doesn't come from a job. It comes from financial independence. And the best way to get there is to diversify. If one stream dries up, they have others still flowing. It's like having multiple legs under a table. If one leg breaks, the table still stands. But if you only have one and it breaks, you're in trouble. A man once told me, "I just don't have time to start another income stream." And I told him, "You don't have time not to. Because if you don't build something now, when will you?" The truth is, wealth isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. Which brings us to the next key. Stop trading time for pennies. Most people go through life selling their most valuable asset, time, for a small paycheck. They clock in, clock out, and hope for a raise. But the wealthy don't think that way. They understand that time is more valuable than money because once time is gone, you can't get it back. That's why they focus on leveraging systems, leveraging skills, leveraging people. I once met a man who worked 16-hour days just to make ends meet. And when I asked him why, he said, "Because I have to." But when I looked at his schedule, I saw the problem. He was spending all his time working in his job and no time working on his future. I told him, what if, instead of working more hours, you focused on increasing the value of your hours? That changed everything for him. See, rich thinkers don't ask, how can I work more? They ask, how can I work less but earn more? They focus on creating rather than just doing. They build businesses that run even when they're not there. They invest in assets that pay them whether they work or not. They develop skills that allow them to charge more for their time. If you ever want to be wealthy, start here. Invest in yourself, build multiple income streams, and stop trading time for pennies. Because at the end of the day, wealth isn't about working harder. It's about thinking better. Making money is just the beginning. The real question is, what do you do with it once you have it? Most people are trained to earn, but they never learn how to multiply. They work hard, they collect a paycheck, and then they spend it all, hoping there's enough left over. But the wealthy play a different game. They don't just work for money, they make money work for them. Because if all you do is earn and spend, you'll always have to keep earning. But if you learn to multiply, you create a system where money starts to flow, even when you're not working. I once met a man who told me, "I'm making more money now than I ever have, but I feel like I'm just running in circles." And I asked him, "What's your strategy for multiplying what you earn?" He looked at me confused. He had never thought about it. And that's the case for most people. They focus so much on increasing their income, but they don't realize that income alone doesn't create wealth. Multiplication does. There are people who make six figures but are still broke. And there are people who never had a high salary but became financially free. Why? Because one group learned the power of multiplication. The wealthy put their money into assets, investments that grow, businesses that scale, ideas that generate returns. They don't just work for their money, they put their money to work. Every dollar is like an employee. Either it's sitting there doing nothing, or it's out there creating more value, more wealth, more freedom. The first step to financial freedom is understanding that money is a seed. If you consume all your seeds, you'll always have to keep planting. But if you plant wisely, over time, those seeds grow into an abundant harvest. Learn about investing, study real estate, stocks, businesses. Understand how money moves. Because the difference between the wealthy and the struggling isn't just how much they make. And that brings us to the next key. Learning never stops. If you want to be rich, you must commit to lifelong learning. The world is changing. The economy shifts. New opportunities arise. But most people stop learning the moment they leave school. And that's a mistake. Because the person who keeps learning will always have an advantage over the person who doesn't. Someone once said, if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. And it's true. The price of not learning is far greater than the price of a book, a course, or a mentor. A single insight could save you from a financial mistake that costs you years. A single strategy could open doors you never thought possible. That's why you have to keep reading, keep studying, keep asking questions. Because the more you learn, the more you earn. Wealth is not about luck. It's about skill. It's about knowledge. It's about growth. And if you make a commitment today to master these two things, how to multiply your money and how to never stop learning, you'll find that success becomes inevitable. Everything we've talked about today comes down to one simple truth. Wealth is not something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. It's not about luck, and it's certainly not about waiting for the right circumstances. It's about making a decision to think differently, to act differently, to commit to a path of growth. Because here's the reality. Most people will keep doing what they've always done. They'll keep working for a paycheck, keep blaming the system, keep hoping things will change. But hope is not a strategy. If you want things to change, you must change. If you want to live differently, you must think differently. If you want wealth, you must learn what the wealthy know and do what the wealthy do. Start today. Take an honest look at your financial habits, your mindset, your learning. Ask yourself, am I growing or am I standing still? Invest in your mind. Learn how to multiply what you earn. Stop trading time for pennies and start creating real wealth. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to be better. Because success is not reserved for the lucky. It's built by those who decide to pursue it. So here's my challenge to you. Don't leave this as just another speech you listen to. Take action. Read the book. Study the habits. Make the investment. Change the way you think, and you'll change your entire financial future. Because if you commit to learning, to growing, to taking control of your financial destiny, there's no limit to what you can achieve.